this is Chris Hanley, and I am one of the hosts of Dark Days Radio, and also Network Zero, and sometime guest on Beast of War. What with the recent release of Games Workshop's latest game called Shadow War Armageddon, I have gone back into ancient gaming history, not that ancient, and I picked up recently a copy of, almost pristine copy of Gorkamorka. Now, the reason I had this urge was because A, Shadow War was totally sold out, as we all know and lament, and B, Shadow War Armageddon is based off the second edition of Necromunda, and Gorkamorka was based off the original Necromunda. And what's fun about Gorkamorka, it involves trucks and vehicles and lots of orcs. So the basic premise is that there was this world which had an Imperial outpost. Orc Space Hulk comes out of the warp, pulls a space station out of orbit, crashes onto the planet called Angelus, obliterates all life, calls it to be a complete dust bowl of a planet. The orcs obviously have spores, they erupt, emerge, blah blah blah. Orc civilization begins again on the planet. They start creating a civilization, mech town, where they're building a new contraption to leave to join the Great War. Everyone believes it's a god that they're making, either Gork or Mork. There's a big hoo-ha. Orcs have an internal kind of technological, religious, factional fight, which leads to the device being partly destroyed, this big machine being partly destroyed. It's rebuilt and called Gorkamorka. Out into the desert wastelands go the orcs on their trucks, tracks and other contraptions looking for scrap that could be used by the mechs to build this thing to get them off the world. There are of course other things that live on the world. There are the remains of the human population that were on the planet that went into hiding in the tunnels and have recently emerged, called diggers. You have the mutated humans who crash landed in their spaceship, called the muties. And you have rebel grots, who are a faction of rebel Gretchen, who wish to have equal chance of having tickets to get off the planet to join the Great War. And that's about it. There are some other things, rumours of Necron-like creatures. So what have we got in this box? A lot of stuff. Obviously, whippy sticks, range reels. I recently bought some extra templates, plastic templates, always useful. We don't have those in there. Those I put in there for safekeeping. So I got some plastic, the more recent plastic grots to use, because one of the types of things that can be members of your gangs are slavers, and thus Gretchen as well. So let's get those out of the way. We don't need them yet. So what have we got? We got some terrain. Obviously this was like the first time this terrain turned up, and it's our barricades, oil drums and tank traps. We also get two of these, which is bits to make a track. We also get plenty of wheels for our vehicles. Let's just chuck some more stuff out of the way. Lots of wheels. We get the wonderful Necromunda bulkheads, which are useful simply because they are used for the scenery. We also get two of these. These are our vehicles, which are our trucks. So you get two of those. There's another one. There's our other track, and then we get plenty of these. We get 3 sprues, so we get 12 boys, and we get enough multi-parts on them, as you can see on here. Let's see. Yeah, you can see on there. Stick bombs, shooters, cannons, 6-shooters, sluggers, knives, axes, studded armour, leather armour, all those things. And then you've got the books, rule books. Let's get those out of the way. There's 2 rule books, stuff to get you started with, useful quick reference sheets, templates galore, more templates, a turning template, so you can see that there. You see that turning template. Scrap counters, bits of scenery, bits to make a piece of scenery which is like a strop head of a mine, and then you got scenery, card scenery that goes into your bulkheads to build your orc fort. And that's basically it in the box. You of course get your dice, the classic jam dice, you can see there in red, artillery dice, scatter dice, and lots of these funny little bases so you can actually get your guys to fit in on the vehicle. And that's everything in the box. And I was lucky enough to get that for a good price on eBay. So Gorkamorka, as I said, is much like Necromunda. You have a game where you are playing a campaign with at least yourself, one player or more, and you are fighting gang fights between your orcs to slowly increase their notoriety, their skills, their abilities, their equipment, to gain new vehicles, and as you do so, you're trying to get them to be the best in your campaign, and then they'll finally retire when they attain that privilege. So the basic rules of the game are very familiar if you've had a look at Shadow War, and there's a great introduction to it. So again, the classic stat lines, and the classic, there we go, classic stat line there that we know from 2nd edition 40k. And it is much like that. So things have range modifiers for weapons, there are penalties for trying to shoot a target that's running or jumping off in and out of cover, or you're trying to. There are armor save modifiers. There's a classic wound chart. It's completely familiar to people if they've played 2nd edition 40k Necromunda, and of course it will be familiar if they're playing good old Shadow War. So that's the rule book. That has everything in it. It's quite slim. Has everything about how vehicles work. Vehicles are quite fun because they add the extra interesting things about they can turn, they can turbo boost, they can ram. They have also their own rules for how they deal with scenery. They can engage in chases with each other, which is quite good and very familiar if you've played a little bit of Gangs of Tomorrow. What's the other stuff we got? Lots of get you started books. And fortunately, the copy of stuff that I got, someone printed off a lot of things, so that's useful for me. And you got the other book. The other book is what's got your campaign information in, so about skill tables. Again, familiar stuff if you've played Shadow War, so how you gain experience for your gang. Serious injury tables, serious injury permanent damage table, so basically your vehicle gets serious injuries. We can see stuff like gets an annoying squeak or becomes unreliable, things like that. Some excellent bits of how to make some terrain in here and painting guides, and also how to get your gang started, and then a series of wonderful scenarios. Again, some of these will be familiar if you've played Shadow War or Necromunda. Some are less familiar. One of the classic ones is the chase with the rolling road, where terrain moves down the board to simulate a race along the desert flats, and the vehicles stay still, but the terrain comes towards them, so you have to basically turn to move around them and turbo boost. And that's basically it. So what you get in here is enough to get started with 2 gangs. There are other vehicles. So you've got trucks, tracks, you can also get buggies and war bikes. There's a special character that uses a death copter, and you can upgrade weapons on your vehicles. There's prone to becoming more unpredictable. You can upgrade. You can try and take your men, your injured orcs, to the docks where they could get their injuries sorted out. That could mean random stuff occurs, like their brains are scooped out and replaced with that of a squig. So it doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's great fun. It offers a lot of opportunity to convert your models. Now, model-wise, we are in sort of a golden age of Games Workshop plastic moulding, as in you can get some really great trucks, great new trucks and battle wagons that have recently been released in the last 5 to 10 years by Games Workshop. Though, if you want to get the classic miniatures for this, because they're dead cheap, the Games Workshop teamed up with Revell, and they do these kits which are meant for starter people starting out in the hobby. And that means for about a tenner you can get a truck and like 4 of the more up-to-date Orc boys. That's great value. You can get a truck and on its own. You can get various bits and bobs in those kits, which is enough to get you started. So if you wanted to get started in Gorkamorka and you cannot get hold of one of these boxes for a decent price, these are online. They were made available online for free by Specialist Games back in the day, so you can download them, and the expansion called Diggernob. And for cheap you can get the trucks and tracks for this game and get enough boys to start playing. And as I said, you can get these guys, the Slaver, and these Gretchen. So you can get together a good gang that consists of your leader of your gang, the spanners who look after the vehicles, slavers who look after your Gretchen, some Gretchen who are going to be in your gang also fighting. You know, you need to make up the numbers, but you're short on cash to get them in, get more boys in your gang. Then you've got Orc boys, and then you've got Orc youths who are less experienced orcs. That's basically it. So that is Gorkamorka in a nutshell. Like I said, you get quite a lot in the box. So, if that takes your fancy, by all means download it, get hold of some orcs, get hold of some trucks to play it. Terrain wise, you don't need too much because again, you need to have room for vehicles to move around. There are some great terrain out there which you could possibly even make yourself from polystyrene. You know, make rock outcrops and sand dunes, or you can look at the stuff by Gale Force 9 recently. They've got some great Badlands desert terrain. Americas do, Amira plastic mouldings do some good sand dune terrain which you can grab hold of. And you can also get hold of obviously the newer terrain from Shadow War itself. That'll be making really good kind of mech town, and you know, whatever's in your bit spots can make a good kind of like scrap counters and, you know, piles of scrap that represents hazards. So that's everything. So if you enjoy this video and you're interested in more, obviously have a listen to Darker Days Radio, have a look at some other unboxing videos. There aren't many, we might do some more. I have Gangs of Camorra to unbox. Obviously everything's painted for that, but I can show you what comes in that box. And hopefully we'll do some blog posts of things painted up and what the finished look is for these models. So that's all. See ya.